afternoon and welcome to the Tech Essentials Apple Classroom livestream. My name is Kat Ellingson and today we're going to go over the Apple Classroom app. For those of you joining us online, feel free to ask questions by using the chat box on the right hand side of the YouTube page. So to kind of get started here, what is Apple Classroom? So Apple Classroom is a new app from Apple that helps you focus learning in the classroom, share work to and from students, and manage the student devices that are in your classroom during your period. So with Apple Classroom, you can do things like launch specific apps, go to websites, textbook pages. You can also share work through projectors, mute students, and some other things we'll be going over today. So we're going to get started. I'm going to guide you through just an overview of Classroom and how to use the different features. So on the screen right now, you should see 4 different iPads. The 3 iPads with the black frame are going to be the student devices in my demo, and the iPad with a white frame is going to be my teacher device. So with Apple Classroom, currently in the district, there are 2 different setups. The first is from Skyward, we push out your classes to your iPad. There is no need to be signed in with an Apple ID or a managed Apple ID. Whatever is generated from Skyward, so your rosters, will be automatically loaded into Apple Classroom for you. And this is done in all 3 middle schools. Right now for the elementary schools, currently you'll be able to make your own classes, though this may change in the future. If it does change, we'll be sure to let you know. And just a note, after this live stream, a guide along with this video will be posted on the staff portal so that anyone who missed it can take a look at it later. So just jumping in here, I am going to, on my teacher iPad, I'm going to open the Apple Classroom app. I'm going to let that load up here. And you'll see in my Apple Classroom app that I have 1 class loaded here. It is the Heroic Jumping 101. And when I tap on that, it opens up with my classroom along with all of the students that have been preloaded for me. And I'm just going to pause here for just a moment, letting my system catch up. I apologize. All right, so there is my class. Sorry about that, folks. So as you can see here, this is the home screen for a class in Apple Classroom. So the first thing I would like to go over is, because we load all of your classrooms in the middle schools, how to organize the classroom here. So in order to do this, what you can do is up the top, what you would do is you would tap on the plus sign for group. And what you do is you give the group a name. So you can divide your class up into things like if you have certain assignments or maybe like a station. This is really to tailor guidance for the particular student. So I'm going to go ahead and give mine a name, and I'm just going to name it Demo Group. And I'm going to press return. Now the next piece is, what students do I want to be a part of this class? So in here, I'm just going to tap on the students. And you probably noticed already all of my students are from The Incredibles. So I'm tapping on Dash and Jack Jack. And up at the top right, I'm going to tap on Done. Now, you see I have my new group in here with just those particular students. And if I wanted to, I can go back to all and get a full list of my students, or I can flip between other groups that I have made here. So the next piece that I'm going to go over is how to launch apps for the kids and how to, if you want, lock them into particular apps. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the group that I want to do this with. So if I want it to be all the students in the class, I make sure all is selected. Otherwise, I can select things like my demo group or any other group that I have set up. I'm just going to go back to all here. And I'm going to tap on the open, so the first icon in this row of icons in the middle here, top here. I'm going to tap open, and I get this screen here. So this screen is going to show me any apps that I have installed on my iPad. And if I just scroll down here, I can choose to have all the kids, maybe I want them to all get into Pages. Once I tap on Pages and give it a moment here, you'll probably notice my 3 student iPads on the screen are going to start opening Pages. And we're just going to give it a moment to load here. Now, on my teacher iPad, you should see a screen that'll give you a check mark. It'll tell you how many iPads that it's opened on. And also down at the bottom gives you an option to open Pages on this iPad, so open the app on your teacher iPad, as well as just you can hit done and it won't open the app for you. Now, kind of just a note about this is the students do need to have the app installed on their iPad in order for it to open. If they don't, they can always go out to self-service and download that app, and then this function will work for them. So for my example here, I'm just going to tap done because I don't need to open Pages. And so the next thing I want to show you is how to actually lock those students into a particular app. So on my student iPads, I'm just going to go ahead and close Pages. And now on my teacher iPad here, I'm going to go back to open. And you'll notice before I click on or tap on any of the icons, if I look down at the bottom, there's this thing that says lock in app after opening. So maybe this time, let's see. Well, maybe I want to open Numbers. So what I would do if I want to lock them into that app is I'm going to tap on the toggle before I click the app, and then I'm going to tap on the app that I want to lock them in. And if we just give it a moment here, it should start opening up on my student iPads. So I have it open on my 3 student iPads, and again, I get that screen on my teacher iPad that says, yes, it opened up on all of those iPads, and I can go ahead and open Numbers on my teacher iPad, or I can just say done. So just to keep it moving along, I'm going to say done. And on here, on my main screen, I can see under all, next to the icons of each of the kids, I can see the little app icon for Numbers. So I know all of them are in Numbers there. Now, if I wanted to unlock them from that particular app, what I would do is on the 3rd icon up at the top, it says unlock. And when I go ahead and tap on that, I get a screen that says it's going through and unlocking all of those iPads. And eventually it'll say, yes, it unlocked all of them for me, and I can press done, and those kids are now able to get out of Pages and go into any other app that they want now. So the next thing we're going to go over is the next icon kind of up at the top here. It's called Navigate. So this is a really nice, smooth way to get all of the kids onto a particular web page. So if I tap on Navigate, of course I have to have my group or all selected first, but if I tap on Navigate, it's going to give me some options here. The first one is I can open up an iBook. They again do have to have the iBook installed in order for it to work. Or two, I can open up a web page. Now, just a note about web pages is you have to have the web page bookmarked in Safari before you do this in order for it to show up in this list. If you don't do that, it's not going to show up in the list. Now, just like the app, having it open up an app, you can lock them into the web page, which is nice too, so then they can't navigate away from it. But I'm just going to, for example, I'm going to tap on my Flocabulary link here. And on all of my student iPads, you'll see it opens up the browser for them, and it's going to start navigating them to Flocabulary. And just like with the app, opening the app, it does give me this confirmation window here that yes, it opened up on my iPads, and it gives me the option to open up that website as well or press done. Now, just so you can see how that works, this time I am going to tap on go to my educational hip hop, so go to Flocabulary. And you see on my teacher iPad, it does, just like on the student iPads, opens that up for me directly to the web page. So I'm going to double tap and go back into Classroom here. Now, the next cool thing I do want to go over is how you can share and receive documents using Classroom. So students and teachers do still have the ability to airdrop to each other, but Apple Classroom does make it a little bit easier because for the kids, on the kids side, if they have, say, Pages open here, and let me go ahead and open up a Pages document on my Dash iPad. So when the kid comes up to the three dots, or the share arrow, and goes to share, you'll notice, Edna Mode is my teacher, my demo teacher, you'll notice the first person in the airdropped list is going to be the teacher. So it'll have your name and then the course name under it. And the nice thing is, if I go ahead and tap on Edna Mode on my iPad here, it's going to send that to my iPad, my teacher iPad. And you'll notice it was kind of quick, but up at the top now on the right hand side, I have a new option that says sharing. And if I tap on sharing, you'll see that I received a document from one of my student iPads. And if I tap on it, it'll go ahead and download it for me and open it right up in Pages for me. Now, if I go ahead and close that and go back into my teacher iPad here, that's a really great way just within this classroom piece to get a whole bunch of information. So the next thing is how, as a teacher, can I share out a document to all of my students? So same thing, just the reverse on a teacher iPad. If I go ahead and, oops, that is dashes. If I just come into my Pages document here, so maybe I make a template for all of my students, or maybe I have some sort of numbers document I need to get out to them. Same as the kids, if I tap on my three dots and I go to share, and I let it load up here, you'll see in AirDrop, my first options are going to be my full classroom or any of those little groups that I've created. So if I tap on my full classroom here, it's going to start sending out that document to the kids. And you see it on the student iPads, it does pop up with the AirDrop window. And of course they have the option to decline, but they can accept it and they'll get the file from you. So I'm going to, on my student iPads, just so I have a better example here, I'm going to start opening up some random apps, not Pages, not the one I sent them to. And on my teacher iPad, I'm going to go back to my classroom. And the next thing we're going to go over is how you can see what the kids are doing on their iPad. So this is a great way to double check and see that they're on task, and it's going to show you all the kids in your classroom. So on my teacher iPad, I'm going to tap on screens and give it a moment to load here. It may take a little bit longer to load, especially if you have a larger class in the middle schools. But on this screen, you can kind of see that I get these little pictures of each iPad that's in my classroom. And if I tap on one, say I'm going to tap on Violet here, I can say view screen again, and it's going to give me a nice bigger view of what Violet's doing on her iPad. And if I tap done at the top, I can do this with any of the other iPads that I have in the classroom. So I can see what Dash is doing here. I say, oh, maybe Dash is not doing what he's supposed to. And I can go in and tell him now to maybe open up. We want him to be in Pages. So now I'm going to tell Dash's iPad to open up in Pages. And from here I can hit done and it'll close that. So the next thing is how to share the kids' work through a projector. So if you're using AirServer in the middle schools, or if you happen to have an Apple TV, there are ways through the teacher in classroom to show those on the big screen. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back, and I'm going to select Violet here. And actually, I apologize. Normally I'd be able to demo this, but because of the way we're doing it, I can't actually show you. What you would do, though, is where my icon says Stop AirPlay, it's normally going to say AirPlay for you. And when you tap on it, it's going to give you a list of connections, just like if you were connecting your iPad to your computer to show on the projector. You can do this for the students to make it a little bit easier for them. So next thing we're going over is how to mute students and how to lock their screen. So muting, just like it sounds, it mutes all the sound coming from the iPad. So maybe a student has their volume up too loud and they're watching cool videos on vocabulary. You can come into either all of the students or choose a particular student. I'm going to choose Jack here because it looks like he's going maybe to YouTube or something. He's a little loud. And all I have to do here is press mute on my action window, and it's going to mute his iPad. So it doesn't really give any sort of notification on the student side, it just does it for them. And I'm going to say done. Now, if I wanted to mute all of the students, I just make sure I have my group selected, and I can use the mute button in the middle top. And you see if I press that, it's going to go through and mute all of those iPads for me. So the next thing is how to lock a student screen. So this is different than locking them into an app. This prevents them from doing anything with the iPad. So I can either lock them individually. So for my example, I'm going to open up Jack here, and I'm going to press my lock icon. And if you give it just a moment here, you'll notice on Jack's screen now, he has a big lock icon, meaning he won't be able to do anything with that iPad until I unlock him. Now, alternatively, if I wanted to lock groups of kids, I could do that, or I could lock all of them. I'm going to go ahead and press my unlock so I can unlock Jack there. I'm going to press lock again just so you can see that once I do that, it's going to lock all of my student iPads in the class. I'm going to press done and go ahead and unlock them because they can do whatever they want on their iPads today. And let's see here. So the last thing for Apple Classroom that we're going to go over, and this is on the teacher iPad specifically, when you go to end a class, so up the top left, say class is over and I'm done controlling their iPads. If I go end class, I get something that's called a class summary. Now, this particular page is only available when you press end class. It does not save, there's no history, so it doesn't like save it on your iPad anywhere. If you wanted to save it, you would have to screenshot it or something like that. But the neat thing about this class summary is in here you can see what app usage looked like during your class hour. You get a list of any files that were shared back and forth and the students that were participating in the class. So up at the top, if I click on an app that's listed under app usage here, say numbers, I can see how many minutes the students spent inside of that particular app. And I can go through here, I can tap on pages, and you can see Dash went in and out of pages a few times. This list up at the top of apps does get a little long, so you might have to scroll. Now, if I go down to students down at the bottom and I click on a student, I get a full list of what apps that particular student used, as well as how long they used it. I'm just going to flip through here. So Jack used 6 apps, Violet used 5, and you can see how many minutes they used. Now, again, when you're done, if you do tap on this done button, this class summary goes away and there's no way to get it back. So if you need to log app usage for any reason, you would need to take a screenshot. So I'm just going to tap done here, and then I am returned to my class list. So that is our overview of Apple Classroom and how to get started with it. I see a few people watching. Are there any questions out there? All right. If you do have any questions or need assistance with Apple Classroom, feel free to contact the help desk at extension 8811 or put in a help desk ticket, which can be gotten through the staff portal. Thank you and have a wonderful day.